We made USAA Insurance to help you save. Take advantage of discounts when you cover your home and your ride. Discover how we're helping members save at USAA.com/bundle. USAA. Restrictions apply.
The new Chevy Silverado HD puts you in command. Own strength with its enhanced available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8. Own the lake with its available advanced towing technology. And own technology with an available 13.4-inch diagonal touchscreen. The new Chevy Silverado HD. Own work, own play, own life. Learn more at Chevy.com. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
It'll echo that in the background.
Okay.
So it's been kind of a little piece of fuckery for me. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Zach, hold on a minute. I'm going to get back to you in just a second. Okay, so
Sage forgot how to talk today, folks, so
Zach is back.
what's up?
That was fucking hard to say anyway. And
We got some interesting topics to talk about that we got kind of a little bit heated about earlier before we started recording. So
we got a tangent that was not recorded, but I think we're going to expand on a little bit here today with you guys. Before we get rolling, and I know it's difficult, keep it together for like 2 more seconds. I think in the last episode, I had mentioned a little bit about trying to come up with moving the studio to a remote location. And I have brought up in the last couple episodes, if you guys could, if it's possible, if you have a way to, please donate to the fund. We're trying to do really big things with a lot of good shit to come. And if we can make that happen sooner than later, I am so excited to have so much more shit to share with you guys. So, on that note, let's get fucking into it today. I think we are going to start off with just kind of giving the old bird bath to toxic friends, you know?
oh god, toxic friendships, toxic relationships.
And I think that's kind of a fucking conundrum as it is, because toxic and friends they should not go together.
And they don't, but unfortunately people find out way too late that their quote unquote friends are toxic.
Right.
We've got a couple of really good examples that we were talking about earlier before we started recording that personally are in our lives, and we're not going to name drop. We're not going to call anybody out personally like that.
No.
But these are people that like to stir the pot and then just walk away from it.
Mm-hmm. Like, and not expect consequence. That's what blows my mind the most.
And they think that it's okay. They think that they can just come in, stir the pot, piss a bunch of people off, and just walk away and come back like nothing ever fucking happened.
Right. It's so hard to perceive too, because I feel like some people that are smart enough to know what they're doing, if that is such a thing, I feel like it's perceived as a controlling factor for you, because now in their eyes, you know, they have a one up on you because they can get you all fucking riled up and come back like nothing fucking happened.
And that's absolutely what it is.
On the other side of that coin, this one I speak personally because I feel like after I've experienced a lot of this shit recently in my life, I've come to I think the very beginning stages of the thought process for this podcast was not understanding. There's a lot of things about me that I do not understand that I feel like have not been spoken on, and I don't know why. And I'm talking about from other people. When I say people's input is worth it so much for me, even the controversial shit, is because I want to know, like, if I'm being that toxic friend.
Oh, yeah.
I want somebody to light me up, you know, fucking tell me, because the amount of people, this is going to sound terrible, but I feel like the amount of people that I've had walk in and out of my life for various reasons is not, it shouldn't have happened. And I want to know more why, like, if I did do something, back to accountability, if I did do something, I wish somebody would fucking step up.
Well, if I may,
Go.
Talk about the mine and your situation a little bit. I'm not going to get into too many crazy details, folks, but me and Sage here were put in a situation a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm. One that I think in a normal world could have ended in jail time.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The amount of disrespect that was had between us.
Yep.
Was so unfortunate for so many reasons.
And it sucked even worse because, I thought of you as a brother, as a really, really good friend.
Mhm.
But instead of,
And I stepped on your dick.
almost literally, like, instead of me being super pissed off about it, which I was super pissed off about it. So I don't want to say instead of me being pissed off about it, but instead of me holding on to that, instead of me allowing that to control and to dictate, kind of how I felt and what I was going to do and what I was going to say, I fucking called you out on it.
You did.
I think it was like the day after or something. I called you and I was like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And
That was probably the greatest move you could have made.
And I want to make this a point, people. If you're having an issue with somebody that you truly consider a good friend of yours, that you truly have had years with, that you've had a solid friendship connection with, and you can't call somebody out like that,
Then I think that's a problem.
then you need to reevaluate who you actually think is your friend. Because if you have a true friendship like that, you should absolutely be able to call them out and not have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
If they're doing something fucked up, if they're doing something wrong, call them out. And their reaction is going to tell you how much your friendship means to them. Because if
that's going to speak big worlds.
you're going to find out really, really quick if this person's actually a friend or if they were just using you. A lot about what we talked about the last time I was here. If they're just using you for that light, for that space, for that brightness that you bring to that room. And I was really, really glad actually that I was able to call you out and you were like, yo, this was absolutely my bad. This should not have happened. You owned it. You took accountability for it. You said, yo, this is my bad. I apologize. I don't want this to affect our friendship. And it did for a little while, but that's just because of the extent.
Time had to heal a little bit on that one.
Yeah. And we took a couple months before we really got back to kind of being normal again. And that's okay. Also, I want people to know, like, if you are going through that and have to do that with a friend, and just be honest with them and just say, hey, look, I'm going to need some time.
Right.
Because I told you that too. Like, I'm going to need some time before this is like,
Yeah.
okay.
Before
for
we
me.
can mull this over.
Right. But that circumstance would have ended a lot of other friendships, relationships, whatever.
I mean,
And
potentially in the right hands, that could have ended a life.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
Yeah. There's for people who kind of understand our mindsets and our worlds that we come from, you'll probably have an experience that's similar to that, where you've been put in a position where you were so mad, where you saw nothing. You legitimately blacked out with rage.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was at when I called you that day. That's exactly where I was at.
I'm-
If I had the ability to get in a truck, if I was not at work, and I had the ability to get in a truck and drive to you and fucking find you, it would have been really bad.
I think at that point I kind of accepted what was coming to me.
Right.
If that were so the case.
Right.
And that's just those consequences that we were talking about. You fuck up, you own it. There might be consequences. Take your licks, you fucking get up.
And that's exactly the point. And I don't want to downplay. And we're not bashing Sage here for making a mistake, because everybody's made a mistake. Everybody's put themselves in a situation with one of their close, maybe not the exact same situation, but something similar, something
Right.
close.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily something that I'm proud of the way that I felt, because I'm not. I'm glad that I was able to call you, and that I was able to yell at you for a long time about that shit, and then we were able to squash it and move the fuck on, because at the end of the day, those circumstances were not going to affect our lives
Well, I think
past that minute.
I think having confidence in that strength between us
Yeah.
as grown men, as adults, as close friends, brothers, it's something you don't find. Very clearly, you don't find that anywhere. So, and I think
I wouldn't say anywhere. You don't find it very often.
there you go. In a fucked up way, you got to be kind of thankful.
Oh, and I am, because it showed me.
Not you directly be thankful. I didn't mean like that.
No. Let me.
Go ahead.
I am thankful that circumstance happened. It kind of washed my hands of that other person, in that it showed me how they felt.
Right.
It showed me how serious they were about what we were doing, which wasn't serious at all. And then it allowed me to kind of open up my eyes to the fact that, oh shit, this dude not only heard me out, because you could have hung up on me. You could have hung up on me. You could have blocked me. You could have told me to go kick rocks. You could have told me to go fuck myself. And you didn't. I think took me a minute to see, but that was a huge character check for you. It really showed me exactly who you were as a person, as a man, and it showed me that, you know, this is the kind of people that I want surrounding in my life. And I'll be completely frank with you. It also showed me the kind of person that I wanted to be as the years kind of went down the line, is being able to look at the mistakes that I've made and being able to kind of say, okay, you know what? No, not kind of say, but being able to say, okay, I fucked up. This was a mistake. I should not have done that. And just being upfront and honest about the mistakes that I've made. It really kind of opened that door for me.
With yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then other relationships too down the road, you know, whether they end or continue. I was able to look at those things and go, wow, I need to kind of accountability. I need to be more accountable for my actions and accepting the fact that, you know, this is kind of going to suck for a minute, but I've got to own up to it and I've got to suck it up and apologize.
It's super difficult when you set that high of a standard for yourself. I can't speak for anybody else, but one of the biggest flaws that I have a problem with in doing so is it also raises my expectations for other people.
Yes.
And I know that's not the right way to look at it, but I don't know how not to, because I feel like
I disagree.
I feel like if I can step back and make sure that I'm doing right in the best way that I can on a personal basis with everybody and with myself, I don't feel like it should be all too difficult for somebody else to step back and think about what the fuck they're doing in an instant.
I 100%. So I want to backtrack. I said I disagree a second ago because I wasn't quite sure where you were going with that. I 100% agree with that. What I disagree with is you absolutely should hold everybody else to that level of standard as well. And I think that's been lost in the social media era.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
A lot of people are very, very comfortable running their mouth behind a keyboard and then being friends to your face. They're back when we were growing up. You're going to run your mouth. You're going to get punched in the mouth.
You're going to deal with it on the spot.
Yeah.
And that's why I take it probably a little too far, but my sense of humor doesn't really lie with that whole. This could be perceived in so many different depths, but I just don't find it fun to talk shit. Like, it's just not. Maybe, and I partially think it's because I'm so far ingrained in it, around it, because of my work, because of the time I've spent at bars, because of just everywhere that I've placed myself.
Yeah.
A genuine conversation every now and again for me is like a relief.
It is. It is.
I just don't need to hear your bullshit all the fucking time.
No, I can't stand. One of the things I absolutely cannot stand is if every conversation we have is just bashing and just shit talk and there's always, and don't get me wrong, I will talk shit with the best of them.
It happens sometimes.
You know what I mean? But
I'm
it
not
doesn't
saying
need,
that.
It doesn't need to be every single conversation. Anyway, we kind of got off on a different tangent there. But I disagree with. I agree with what you said about. My train of thought just went. I looked at the beer and it left.
That'll happen.
But no, so we squashed our shit. We were able to move on. I was able to look at it and hold myself more accountable because of the way that you handled that situation. And that's for me was a huge thing as I've grown and progressed into adulthood. And I think a lot of people need to hold themselves more accountable in that aspect of things and be able to say when they've made those mistakes. And if you, I remember where I was going with that. If you are looking at your circle of friends and you realize that none of these people are going to hold themselves accountable for anything that they say or do or any of their actions, then you need to really reevaluate who you have in your circle.
Man, finding out the hard way that you don't have the overall support of the peers that you surround yourself with. Is brutal. It destroys your world for a minute.
It does.
And real quick, I just want to kind of dabble in a little bit of understanding now that we're putting it into words. What we're asking, or what I would be asking of myself, is extremely difficult, and I can kind of touch base as to why. In doing this and setting your standards high, you're setting expectations for some people. You want people to try to be good all around, whatever that means. I think a lot of the time, it doesn't get recognized in a social setting Nobody wants to get hurt, and that's fine.
Nobody. Also, to go on with that, nobody wants to be put on blast either.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, if I were to come to you with a problem, and you laughed in my face about it, my expectation just blew up in my face.
Right.
And now, if I'm being honest with myself, I'm probably feeling some type of way about it. I'm hurt because I had the expectation that my boy was going to be there, and you laughed in my face.
I'm furious at that point. At that point in time, I'm really mad.
So that takes me to the next destination in someone's mind is probably going to be to shut down or shut off. And now we're going to probably build walls so that doesn't happen again.
Right.
And this, I think, leads us kind of to where we're at the very end of that, where people just, instead of going down that road and being perceived as weak and possibly getting hurt again, they would rather just put on a fake-ass facade and make it look like that shit doesn't matter, so that way they don't get hurt.
Right.
So all I'm doing is connecting the dots and saying, I get it. I do get it. But at the end of the day, being honest with yourself about these things is only going to make you healthier.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. You've got to be able to look at every decision you make as a whole, and
everything's a lesson.
Yeah, yes, and you've got to be able to look at the people you surround yourself with too, with how they're responding to your circumstances. Because if you using us as an example again, if I come to you to lean on you about something, and same thing, if you're like, oh man, the fuck you worried about that
Fucking
for?
Brush it off, dude.
Right, could be in a puss.
Fuck that.
Like that's not always okay. There are some things that it's like, okay, like that's really not that big of a deal. I know it looks like a big deal to you right now, but that's and there's ways to go about saying that. There's ways to go about saying, yeah, man, this sucks for the next 5 minutes, but let's feel it for 5 fucking minutes and then let's move on, because it's not going to affect your daily life. It's not going to affect your job. It's not going to affect your money. It's not going to affect your fucking relationship. It's not really going to affect anything.
Right. It's something that you just have to move forward from.
Right. And then there's things that are actually serious.
Yeah, and I think we've encountered a lot of that over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's again crushing for somebody who wants to give a shit. It's pretty demeaning, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's disrespectful, it's demeaning, and
if somebody's coming to you with with what they deem as a serious problem, and then they tell you about it and you're like, oh shit, like I would be broken if I were to be going through this, and you have the gall and the just flat out disrespect to laugh or to disregard.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Their feelings. You don't deserve that person.
I would agree, and this. There's going to be a lot of probably people listening that are going to be like, these guys are fucking pussies. But you know what? I think at the end of the day, if that's how you really feel, then go be a tough guy somewhere else.
Go be a fucking macho man somewhere.
That's perfectly cool, man. I got shit to do, and you're in my way.
Exactly.
And that, unfortunately, has been the result of a lot of different things.
That's ended a lot of friendships for me. I can tell you that right now. When I look at a friendship, a true friendship like us, I should not have to question whether or not I can come to you.
Oh, damn, dude.
I should not have to question whether or not I can call you up at fucking 2 o'clock in the morning and go, yo, man, I'm in a fucking tough spot.
Regardless of the topic.
Regardless of the topic. It does not fucking matter.
No, and that stays with you.
Yep. And that's a lot. I hold that. Wow, I choked on that.
Oh, there you go.
I hold that expectation to a lot of people, and very, very rarely do I get return on that expectation. And what I mean by that is very rarely do I have people turn around and actually listen and try to help me through that situation. Maybe not even try to help me through that situation, but what I talked in the first episode about that we did about, hey man, I just need to go sit and have a fucking beer. It could be as simple as that, or it could be as something as like our situation a couple of years ago, where I'm like, yo, we need to actually sit down and have a real conversation about, because I'm fucked up about this. And if you can't, as friends, if you can't sit and have a conversation with somebody when they're hurt over your actions, you need to really evaluate your fucking life choices and where you are and what you're doing. B, for the person who's coming to you going, hey, you've really upset me with something that you did, and that person needs to be able to look at that and go, okay, this person is not who I want to surround myself with in my close circle. Cool, you could be on the outside or whatever, but I'm never going to come to you with anything again.
Right. This is the last time.
You know, if I ever see you in a bar, I'm not going to be fucking mean to you. I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to turn around and fight you because of it. No, what I'm going to do is, you're now on the outside. I'll dap you up. I'll be like, what's up, homie? I'll buy you a beer. And that's that.
It's the end of it.
That is the extent of our friendship right now. We talked about it beforehand. Got one of our circle who gets along well with you, but I won't have anything to do with because he won't hold accountability for his actions. And this circles back to where we started with the toxic friendships and whatnot is, you know, if you're not going to hold yourself accountable, if you're not going to hold accountability for your actions within a friendship, within a relationship, within anything, you know, you've got to be able to then understand that people are going to be like, I don't want you around. They're going to be like, hey, I don't want anything to do with this person, A, because they're not reliable. I can't count on this person. B, when it really breaks down to the deepest, I can't trust you.
And I think that word and the use of it is very, very underrated for what it's worth.
Trust?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People assume when you talk about trust, it's just like, well, I could tell this guy a secret. No, for me, trust is, I need for you to be able to use your fucking adult discretion and decide when it's time for you and I to just keep something right here.
Yep.
I need to know that you're there for me on a trustworthy level.
Yep.
For a lot of different things. And I could give a shit about a stupid secret. But at the end of the day, I need to know that I have a home in you.
Secrets don't make friends.
No, they don't.
At the end of the day, they make enemies.
All day.
Because a lot of people are going to use those secrets against you. And I think I kind of want to dive into that just a little bit. What you just said. I don't give two fucks about secrets. I know there's a line of people that I can tell something and it'll never go anywhere else. Do I actually trust that person though? Probably not.
Probably not.
Because at the end of the day, I also know that when shit hits the fan, those people are going to use that against me.
And that's exactly it. Is now if that circumstance is surrounding that person and that there's not 100% trustworthy benefit,
there's no point in having them around.
Then it stops in the beginning.
Yep.
Because anything goes wrong, anything goes sideways, then you and I are not on the same page.
Right.
And that's how that's going to go. You're going to bury me at the first chance you get.
Yep.
And I'm not into it.
I do a thing, and it could be viewed as toxic. You know, if we're talking about toxic friendships and stuff, I'm never going to tell anybody that I'm perfect in any sort of relationship because I'm not. I do some fucked up shit. I'll be the first one to admit that. You've known me for long enough to know that I've done some dumb things.
Haven't we all?
You know, and I've made a lot of mistakes in friendships, and I no longer have those friendships because of those mistakes, but I've learned from them. Anyway, I test people a lot, especially early on. And I'll drop little things here and there, you know, to find out, A, if I'm going to hear it from somebody else. That tells me, okay, this person absolutely is not trustworthy. I cannot tell them anything because then the whole fucking world's going to know. And it's nothing serious. You know, I'm not going to drop anything serious. It's going to be something really stupid that I really don't care if people know about.
No, we're just going to play telephone a little bit.
Right.
See where it goes.
We're going to see who hears what and then what it ends up coming back to me as.
So I'm guilty of doing this recently.
And it's, you know, there's nothing wrong with that if you are smart about it. If you are blatantly lying to people, then you might want to not do that anymore. But
yeah, you're starting fires you don't need to be putting.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we're going to talk on that topic too.
Oh, God.
But it, you know, when I'm looking at that and I'm kind of dropping these things and I'm dropping things that are 100% true in my life. You know what I mean? The shit that I'm going through, seeing if I can really. What was that?
No, that was my washing machine.
If I can really lean on them a little bit, you know what I mean, and really have their support, and 9 times out of 10, I don't. But then it tells me really, really quickly, okay, if I'm in a bind, I can call you.
Mm-hmm.
That 1 person out of 10, I can call you. You know, I can call you, and I know that I can call you, and I can ask you for help, and I can lean on you a bit, and I don't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's going to stay between us. It's going to stay right here. And that's, let me put it this way, folks. I tend to have a pretty big overall circle, right? I know a lot of people. A lot of people know me. I can't really walk into anywhere without running into somebody that I know in some form.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that I can call and actually lean on, I can count on one hand.
I think that's definitely a mentionable attribute.
I can count on one, and this guys, girls, all of the above. I can count on one hand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it was a sad reality for me when I think I was 26, 27, somewhere right in there when I really figured that out, that not everybody in your circle can be leaned on and can be accountable, can be trusted.
Not everybody's there for you.
Right.
No matter how much you want them to be. That's bit me in the ass more times than I can count.
Oh God, more times than I can count.
Yep.
And it's not to say that, you know, they're bad people.
They're not bad people.
They're not bad people. They just don't have the same kind of values that you do. And that's nothing wrong with that. I shouldn't say values. Values probably was the wrong word for that, but I think people are going to understand what I meant by that.
Just a slightly different mindset.
Right.
Or if anything, an absent mindset.
Right.
To the situation.
A lot of people aren't going to look at, and they're not going to handle the things the same way that you will.
Nobody is, yeah.
Well, I won't say nobody either, because we tend to handle things, me, you, one of the other guys.
A couple other people.
You know, we all tend to handle things the same way. And it's all about kind of finding out who is going to push those buttons and who is going to, you know, kind of drop those fires and start those fires and just kind of watch from the background and watch it burn, which is where the toxic friendships come in. You know, we've got a couple of people in our circle that, you know, they'll find out some information and they'll make that molehill of a situation into a fucking mountain, and then they'll drop it on.
Then it spreads like a wildfire. And
they'll drop it in a public place, like at a bar, in front of a bunch of people, and they'll fucking drop it on you and ask you about it and call you out, and then take 3 steps back so that way they're not even in the situation anymore.
And in a negative connotation as well.
Yep.
It's never a concern or a positive.
No, it's strictly to watch the fire burn.
Entertainment.
Yep.
That's all they value.
That's all it is to them. Is it's fun to watch other people suffer.
Drama and gossip drive those people.
Oh my God, and I fucking hate it.
I've been really trying over a relatively small course of time to just kind of keep my my gossip that's not on purpose. Like if you're just talking to a coworker.
Oh yeah.
At a place that you've been for, and you guys just talk and talk and talk. You know, sometimes you start talking about someone,
right?
And specifics, it just rolls into this shit pile,
right?
And that happens at the bar, shit like that, around social groups.
You get lulled into this false sense of confidence with this person,
yeah,
because they're sharing with you, you're sharing with them, and then all of a sudden things have rolled to a point where now you're in that situation where you've started a fire unintentionally, completely unintentionally. And we're not talking about that either when we're talking about toxic friendships. Like, that's unintentional drops is one thing.
Yeah. I just try to be a little bit more conscious about where my conversations go in general, unless it's somebody that I know is going to just keep that shit right here.
Right.
And that's not to say that I have a bunch of negative shit to say, but that's what telephone is, though.
Right.
Is when you say one thing to some person that can be perceived as a possibly negative thing, that's how it's going to come back.
And I'll elaborate on this. If you tell somebody something, right, with a positive tone and a positive outlook and a positive mindset, they can use those exact same words and change the tone and how it was said,
and it's over.
And now it's a completely different meaning.
Now it's fire.
Yep.
So
now they just poured fucking gasoline on some shit, and it gets really bad really quickly. So
I think the shitty part about the examples that we've brought up. For me personally, I wish that I knew if it was intentional, if it was accidental, if these were perceived incorrectly. I wish I knew the outstanding circumstances as to why. If it was just an accident, if it was something that they didn't consciously think about, and now that's the problem, because that happens.
Oh, that happens all the time.
I just, a little bit more understanding would be I'd be cool with working with that. But then it always goes back to the same fucking thing. When you ask them about it, they have no fucking clue.
Well, or they have every clue, and they're just not willing to hold themselves accountable
Exactly, and that's what I'm talking about. And when this is actually, I'm answering my own question, because I said I was bitching about people coming and going. And I think part of, now I'm not going to say my problem, but part of what I'm going through and what I'm seeing is because I do call people out. And it's not necessarily in a violent or a shitty manner. It's never to be that way. I just want facts.
Right. I just want to know the truth.
We can talk about anything you want to talk about. It's not going to go south if you don't make it go south.
Yeah,
I can have any conversation on this planet.
If you're willing to sit and have an adult conversation about
Right.
it.
And I think a lot of people just don't like being called out. And I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But address it to some degree. It shows better on you.
It does.
If you're willing to have a conversation, hash shit out, whether it's fucking about my car that you were talking shit about, or whether it was about my 10-year relationship that you're talking shit about, I don't give a shit.
Let's sit and have a conversation about it and work through it. And you know what? Whether the outcome is that you guys, you are kind of pushed to the outside of that circle, or whether you're brought back into that inner circle, which is exactly what happened to us. I think that conversation really tends to outlay how I'm going to respond in the coming weeks and months as far as how that friendship's going to turn out. And there are a lot of people where I don't give an explanation for why I've pushed you to the outside of that circle, because A, you've lost the right to hear it. B, because I don't owe you that.
Well, if you've shown zero interest in solving a potentially small quarrel,
right, then
why the fuck do I care to explain anything else to you?
Right. I no longer have any care to go, maybe I should explain this to them, that way they can understand, because I don't give a shit.
And
I don't care.
And I will finish this. I will finish this by saying, maybe not finish it, but I'm going to end this specific statement by saying, that doesn't leave it off the table forever.
No.
For me personally, if somebody that I lost in my life came back years down the road and we had the conversation, then I would probably be happier about that ending. If we had a conversation about it, closed it out on good notes, then our relationship ending, whether it was going to be good or bad, is now a good thing for me. And we're both healthier because of it.
Yes. Okay, I agree with that. I do.
Just a good ending to a long story.
Right. And I can agree with that, because then that gives a little bit of, you get the answers you were looking for.
Right.
You get that understanding of why things happened the way they did.
Anybody who's going to fucking tell me that they can just let shit go forever and ever and ever, you're fucking lying. Because I can tell you that closing a chapter in my life on a positive note is one of the best fucking feelings you'll ever have.
Yep.
For both parties.
Yep.
So anybody who tells me that they can just fucking walk away and forget about it, you're blowing it out your ass, because I know that's a fucking lie.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to elaborate on that a little bit, to kind of close the toxic friends conversation, because I could talk about this for fucking weeks.
Oh yeah. It's getting dangerous.
It's getting really close to being really personal.
Yes, I know. And we're gonna drop it there.
But if you are going to come into a situation years down the road and apologize for an action, doesn't even have to be years down the road, but I'm using that as an example because that's what you just said.
Right. Good long-term stint goes by.
Right. And you are going to come back and apologize, or even just try to not even apologize, but just give an explanation to where you were at and why you did what you did. And then you get mad at that person for the way that they responded. So I'm coming to you. Okay. I'm coming to you. Hey man, I made a mistake. I fucked up. And then you get mad at me.
Right. Now we got a whole new fucking chapter to open up.
Right. Now we've got to sit down, and now we've got to hash. For me, now we've got to hash that out. Okay. Why are you upset with me for coming back and trying to apologize to you? I wasn't looking for a friendship. I wasn't looking to, rekindle this great friendship that we had, because really, if that ended a friendship, it wasn't a great friendship to begin with.
Probably not.
But if you're gonna get mad at me and if you're gonna turn around and be like, yo, like, you're a piece of shit, I fucking hate you, whatever the situation ends up being, me coming to you at that point, we're gonna hash out whatever we need to hash out on that situation, but then I'm gonna wash my hands of it and I'm done. I'm gone.
Yep.
You're no longer in any circle. Again, I'm not gonna have any ill feelings towards you. You know what I mean? That does me no good. That puts me in the toxic friendship circle. Who then is just going to start those fires for no fucking reason.
It's just unnecessary tension.
It is.
And again, that's something that I will go to bat with anybody who wants to sit there and tell me that that shit doesn't bother them, or that untold story doesn't bother them. All that shit. Like, there's no fucking way, because we're all human.
It bothers you.
We all have the same mental capacity.
Yep.
Well, except for like Elon Musk. He's a fucking alien, but different story.
I think he's a robot, but anyway.
Either way.
I think he was made in a factory somewhere.
Closing the chapter is important.
It is. And not necessarily having closure, but closure is the only word that I can really form.
Closure is a good word for it. And this doesn't just stand for like long-term shit. Like, we've been using that example. But I tell you what, man, if I get into some kind of probably unspoken situation with like a coworker or something, and I say unspoken because we don't really know each other that well,
right?
But for some fucking reason there's tension,
right?
I'm going to end it.
We're going to work it out.
I'm going to work it out real quick, and I'm going to tell you, we don't have to talk, we don't have to be friends, but I don't want your fucking problem. Can we just work together and be cool? Let's fix this one and move the fuck on.
Right.
This tension, bad juju.
And I want to go off of that and say that too, that if you're making that effort and that person, you know, you have that conversation and everything's all good, and then that person continues to kind of run their mouth and do whatever, you did everything you could do. Let it go. As for me, let it go at that point. You've done everything you could. You've made everything as good as far as you could. You extended yourself to have that conversation, and they're like, fuck them, fuck this, blah, 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 blah. Let it go. It's over.
Well, if that disrespect comes along, then now I can wash my hands.
Right.
I have the answers I need.
Yep.
Well.
Let me get off on that tangent. Let's get off of that for a bit, because that's going to... that could end up pretty...
Well, see, it ended with a little bit of closure.
And...
I think I can kind of follow into something else that I wanted to talk about, with everything that we just kind of mentioned and talking about, you know, feeling good mentally and feeling decompressed and feeling better about a situation. Part of something else that I find hugely important in just day-to-day life is taking care of yourself on a personal and mental level. You find it difficult, and we all do, because it's so easy to get caught up in shit and how we look and judgment and all that shit. And I think it's important for you to try not to focus on impressing anybody around you, regardless of what that means to you.
Impress yourself.
And take care of yourself a little bit. Just take care of your roots, your head. Don't focus so much on what everybody else is doing or what everybody else thinks, because unless it's somebody that's hugely close to you, that's not going to get you anywhere. It's just not going to be good for you. I've spent so many nights on certain topics in my own head, just, you know,
oh my God.
You're just wondering. That's all you're doing. You're just fucking going in circles. Did I do this? Did I do that? Is this right? Is this wrong? And you're going to go back and forth all fucking night. And it's just...
At the end of the day, unless that person's a super big part of your life, like you, like my parents,
right.
Like, you know, my brother.
A future wife or
right.
or your current wife.
Right. You know, don't...
Or husband, sorry.
Well... Don't necessarily dwell on it too much.
You can't.
Again, if it does not involve somebody who is directly responsible for a big piece of your life, don't fucking dwell on it. If you need to have a conversation with somebody, cool. Have the conversation with them. Don't have it with yourself. And what I mean by that is don't sit there and think about and play that conversation out in your head, because all it's going to do is tear you the fuck up, and it's going to confuse yourself, and it's going to end up
It's going to put you in panic mode.
Yes. It's going to really twist you up, and you're not going to know how to feel about it. And then you're going to be super anxious. You're going to be super on edge when you go to have the conversation with that person. And instead of coming into it with a calm, easy mindset, being able to go, okay, we need to have this conversation. We're going to talk about it. We're going to come to a resolution, and that's going to be it.
You know what I found super helpful recently? Without necessarily comparing myself to others, in general, I just try to focus on like the baby steps that I've been making by myself. Just in life in general, some of the small shit that I've accomplished, and we're not going to get into all that because what I'm talking about is like my financial baby steps, my real life baby steps, the ability to do things that you need to do, the ability to do things that you want to do, which is also important. Making time for yourself in situations.
Yes. Taking care of yourself and impressing yourself is kind of... Impressing yourself and taking care of yourself are kind of hand in hand here.
Yes, so
well, they are hand in hand.
If you're going to consume yourself with thoughts, then why don't you flood yourself with
positivity,
good thoughts about what you've accomplished? And I don't give a shit how big or small they are.
No, they could be, I saved $100 this month.
Hell yeah, dude! I have an established savings. That's fucking cool.
Yeah,
there's only $75 in there.
Right,
I
exactly.
can give a fuck. I got a gas fund.
That's a tank of fuel that I didn't have that I didn't account for.
Just you can't focus on how much somebody else doesn't like you or whatever the fucking case is.
Because at the end of the day, their thoughts and their beliefs, again, as long as these people aren't part of your everyday life and have a big impact on you, like your wife or your husband or your whatever, it doesn't. What their thoughts don't matter really. The only thing that really matters is what you do to make sure that you're happy and make sure that you're taken care of in your mental. And that perfectly drives into the me versus me thing that, me versus me, the title.
100%.
You know what I mean? You are always going to be your biggest adversary.
And that's exactly what it is. You're battling yourself.
And there's no reason to.
There's not. It's useless.
It is, because what are you going to solve when you're fighting yourself over a situation that involves somebody else? You're not.
You got to have the other side of it.
Right.
It's the only way you're going to get your answer.
You have to. But you also have to be willing to take note of what's truly important to you, and if that situation with that other person is worth fighting for.
So what we're talking about now is picking your battles.
Yes.
And I agree with that. You do have to check yourself and figure out what the actual importance and how petty this is.
Right. Is this a super... Thank you for using that word. Is this a super petty thing?
Right.
Or is this actually going to have an impact on my life?
Is this something I can make sure that I'm try to ease up on? Or is this something that really needs to be addressed? And being that all the way fucking... This is going to go in a giant circle, but all the way back to accountability.
Yep.
If you got to check yourself and say, hey, I'm being a little fucking petty. I need to get over this one. That's another circumstance. Sometimes, every once in a while, you just got to fucking suck it up and take a lick.
Yeah.
I've
done it. I've done it a bunch.
I'm being a little ridiculous right now. I'm just going to take a minute and I'm going to clear myself.
Yep. I've done it a bunch, and I've done it a bunch recently. I did not used to do that. I used to hold on to shit, and then, we would, no matter how petty or how small of a situation it was,
you bottle it up.
Yeah, I would bottle it up until I saw him again, and then I would blow up.
Yeah, and then none of it makes sense.
Right. And then on top of that, now not only do I have this other situation that I've had bottled up that involves this person coming out, but now I'm spewing every other negative thing that I have bottled up.
It's all going to come out, whether you like it or not.
Exactly. And then now this other person's looking at you like,
what the fuck just happened?
This motherfucker's insane. Like,
I'm gonna throw myself under the bus here, but I will tell you firsthand that there's been so many different relationships that I've been in where I just bottle it up. And when I do go to address it, you know what comes out?
Oh, a bunch of shit.
Fucking nothing coherent, dude.
Right.
They've all told me the same thing. I have no fucking idea what we're fighting about. I'm like, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't either.
And at that point, you don't. I mean, because there's so many different emotions. There's so many different thoughts. There's so many different bottled up feelings. And
now it's a useless argument.
Right.
And we're both mad.
Right. And that's a big thing about, kind of impressing yourself and taking care of yourself is you have to be able to address things that bother you in a timely manner if they're worth it.
Yes.
Pick that battle and be able to look at something and go, man, this isn't going to matter in 2 days. Whatever. I'll fucking get over it. Cool. But you have to be able to truly let it go at that point.
You do.
And on top of that too is if it ends up being something that really is going to, that really does need to be addressed, it really does need to sit down, you need to be able to, and this is something that I just learned, you need to be able to reach out to whoever it is, say, hey, look, we need to have a conversation about this topic, and not necessarily schedule a sit down, but just let them know that the conversation needs to happen.
Right.
Because that doesn't put it in a bottle anymore. It just files it away.
Now it's in the air.
Right. Now it's out there, and it's just kind of filed away, and we're going to come back to this later, and it's not sitting there in a fucking bottle that's being shaken up every fucking second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to people. Like,
Well, it does, because now you're going to start thinking about how you want to address this.
yeah.
Now you're on the second section of this.
Yep.
Where are we going to start?
Yep. Now you're moving on into, okay, I'm not having this conversation with myself. I'm going to have this conversation with this other person, and here's where I'm going to start and see where it goes from there.
And it does, admittedly, in most cases, cause stress or anxiety.
Oh, it's going to.
But what happens after
It's not on you.
is amazing.
Yeah. It's if it ends up being a negative thing, that's no longer on you because you did everything. Let me cut that because that's not exactly true. What happens then is going to be on both of you no matter what, because it's a two-prong conversation, right? There's
Yes.
two sides to that story.
Yes.
But if you come at it truly from a standpoint of trying to fix the situation, trying to resolve it, then there should not be any sort of negative that comes out of it, whether you end the friendship or not, right? You're going to come out of it knowing what happened with an understanding of where both sides not lied, but where both sides stood on this circumstance. And you're going to be able to kind of see their position a little bit better, hopefully.
As long as you come into it with an open mind.
Yeah, you've got to be able to come into it with an open mind.
I think that first step is probably one of the most important things that you should do. In the beginning of everything that we've talked about today, is you need to make sure that your mind is going to be willing to accept both sides of this.
Yep. You've got to be open to it.
And that comes with you and them.
Yep.
So
Both sides. The only way that a situation gets truly resolved is if both sides are willing to A, hear both sides of the story, and B, be able to recognize and understand and go, okay, they saw it differently than I did. There's nothing wrong with that.
nope. But this
Nobody's
is-
wrong in this situation as far as where the mindset was and as far as where their interpretation was.
and now we both have to make some tweaks.
Yep.
To make this work.
Yep. If the friendship is truly worth saving and keeping, which you'll know really quickly having that conversation, if this is something that's worth holding on to or not. And I'm going to lay back on the conversation, on the situation that we had. If either one of us would have handled that really any differently, I don't think.
Oh, we wouldn't be sitting here today.
No, absolutely not.
For sure.
Absolutely not. And that comes up in topic actually quite a bit. Me and you in our situation. I hear it from a couple of different people. They're like, how the hell are you and Sage able to sit in the same room after what the fuck you two went through and not want to just kill each other, let alone being able to have good, open, honest conversations about some pretty intense and deep shit. And that circles back to accountability. We were both accountable for our side of the situation, and we were both open and willing to hear what the other person had to say. And then when it came down to the apology and to the owning of both sides of the mistake, because I did not handle that situation very well to begin with, and I think you would have been the same way.
Yeah, 100%.
But I was able to turn it off for a minute and say, whoa, pause. He knows he made a mistake. He's apologizing. He's owning it. I need to take a step back and really be able to accept that. Because I'll be honest, I came into that conversation with a closed mind. I'm going to kill this motherfucker. Like, I was ready to murder you.
Sure.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I expected it.
And if you had tried to fight me on it at all,
A lot different.
yeah. And the only way that happens, and the only way that you're able to take a serious situation like that, folks, is if both sides are willing to have an open mind about it. Your open-mindedness and being able to accept your fault in that situation opened my mind to go, whoa, this dude is genuinely wanting to fix this, and is not just like, oh, right, whatever, fuck this guy. Like, you know, it wasn't an intentional thing. It wasn't a dig. It wasn't, you know, anything that, how do I, words.
I wasn't looking to hurt anybody.
No, you were not. It wasn't intentional.
No.
I'll just leave it at that. No need to dig any deeper than that. It wasn't an intentional thing. It was a mistake, and mistakes are made on all sides by everybody every fucking day.
Yeah.
If you're going to sit here and tell us that you've never made a mistake like this, you're lying.
Good luck.
You need to open your mind, and you need to be able to look at everybody around you. And I can tell you right now, that person, because I was that person for a long time, I don't make mistakes.
I think we've all done that a little bit.
I'll tell you right now, I've been doing it the past couple of weeks because I've been so tied up in my head.
Mm-hmm.
This has helped me a lot, but
I would just like to dabble in a little bit of appreciation because this is the first time I'm hearing this side of it. Not this side, but hearing the true results of what could have been potentially bad.
oh yeah,
So knowing that it's frankly amazing to me that even in that situation you were able to take away from it and look at the true reality of what was happening.
right.
And that's
Taking a look at the situation as a whole.
like that's as far as I'm concerned pretty unheard of. And you just rose the bar a little bit because now I know that it can be fucking done.
Yep.
And I don't want to hear shit from anybody.
Nope.
So
We talked a little bit about the reason that I won't hear it. So a couple people out.
yeah.
That's why.
Well, I'm pretty amazed by that, dude. So thank you.
Yeah.
I gotta fucking give me a cheers to that shit because that was fucking good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude. I just
That's some fucking good deep shit right there.
yeah. You
And I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah.
I wish so many people not necessarily take my influence because that's not what I'm looking for, but I wish more people would be willing to have an open mind like that. It is so important, dude.
It is, and if honestly, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna kind of challenge our listeners a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I mean a lot, because this is gonna raise the bar for everybody. I think. The next time that you're in a sticky situation, the next time that you're in a make or break with a friend,
Mm-hmm.
you know, this is either going to continue our friendship or it's not. You know, don't come into the situation with your mind made up.
That's the last thing you want to do.
Don't come into the situation with your mind made up. Come into the situation with an open heart, with an open mind, and be able to look at it and go, I'm going to hear them out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hear what they have to say. I'm going to listen and actually listen. I mean, that's a key, is because you can listen.
Mm-hmm. Don't stand there and just shrug off everything.
No, listen to what they have to say, because what they have to say might surprise you, like it did for me.
Just now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a lot. It's a big challenge.
It's a huge thing.
I would say no matter how far I feel like I've made it, still to this day that would be a hard challenge.
Yeah.
In any situation.
And it's never easy.
No.
Like it doesn't matter how many times you've done it. It's never an easy thing.
But you could be cliche and ask yourself, is anything easy really worth having?
No, it's not. Nothing.
Don't
easy.
you feel better when you work hard and achieve your goal?
Absolutely. When it's just handed to you, I don't really care about that
I
anymore.
don't understand the importance of it.
Right.
You know?
Right. And it's you know, I'm gonna credit. I'm gonna flat out say it. I'm gonna credit our friendship and where it stands right now because of that circumstance.
110%.
Because if, we've already said it. If that conversation, if that circumstance is handled any other way, we're not here.
Nope.
And I am a big believer that every decision that you make throughout your day, throughout your life, has a ripple effect and has a chain reaction that comes along with it. And for both sides,
Mm-hmm.
and for everybody around you, because our situation changed my friendship with a lot of other people in our circle.
Oh, shit.
I'll tell you that right now. I've got a lot of people right now, well, not right now, since that situation happened, that are looking at me going, dude, why do you continue to be friends with this dude after? And I'm not putting you on blast. Don't take that.
No. But from the outsider standpoint,
Yeah,
the typical reaction is what you're hearing,
right.
and that's understandable. But you're experiencing everybody who would have already made up their mind.
Right. You don't. These people who have a closed mind are looking at the situation going, I would have done it this way. And I'm right because whatever. And you're not right. You're not.
Mm-hmm.
The only time that you can come correct at a situation is when you have an open mind. The only time that you can come at a situation and go, hey, this is this is the correct way of handling it is if both sides are looking at it with an open mind, and both sides are able to have an open conversation about it. And the only way you have an open conversation about something is coming at it with an open mind.
Yep.
Coming at any sort of situation, whether it's a breakup, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a marriage that's ending, whether it's a job that you're losing, whatever the situation is, you've got to be able to have some sort of resolution. The only way to do that is have an open mind. Because if you don't, it's going to fucking kill you. You will not be able to take care of yourself mentally. You will not, because you're going to sit and you're going to dwell on it. You're going to think about it. And you're going to pound it into your head. And you're going to go over every single scenario that could have been, that should have been, that would have been, that might have been, whatever the circumstance is. And it's going to drag you down.
I think it's important to note, too, we've dabbled a little bit on the other side of this, that the people who do just brush shit off and leave shit up in the air, and the people who act like they don't give a fuck, I've seen it like 9 times out of 10. People that do this, I've been a part of it, but I've seen people over years and years of doing this and acting like they don't care and doing what they want because it's for them, and just all this shit, all this selfish, closed-minded shit that we're talking about. I've seen people break down. Like, break the fuck down. Uncontrollable tears. We're talking complete mental stability goes out the window for a short period of time.
Yep.
Just a completely broken person. And then they come back to reality like, I don't know what that was. And I'm like, I fucking do.
I know exactly
what just happened.
Yep.
Your fire just reignited and you're ignoring it.
Yep.
I've seen it time and time again. And I've been a part of it, dude. I've fucking done it. When you bottle shit up and you act like you don't care, that's what happens.
When you don't take care of yourself, and you don't impress yourself, and you don't impress yourself's not the right word, and I think we kind of miss.
You have to maintain your mental health to some degree. You have to be open with yourself. And that's the shit that breaks my heart, man, because I've seen it with people I care about.
Oh God.
And now I can't even imagine what that looks like for other people.
It's not fun.
Wow.
Neither of us are small people.
Yeah. That's true.
And when we snap like that, and it becomes just sheer emotion, because at some point in time, when you've got everything bottled up like that, and you've got everything that's just held in, it's like. Now I think everybody's done this as a kid, taking the Coca-Cola bottle with the Mentos, and then trying to put the cap back on.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's gonna blow up.
It's gonna blow up.
It's just a matter of when.
It's just a matter of when. It doesn't matter. It's gonna take. It might take some time. It might take 10 minutes. It might take 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to blow up. It's gonna go. It's just a matter of time.
It really is. And I'm sure that there are some outlying circumstances in which I'm probably not professional enough to talk about that. This stuff does not happen. We're not speaking for the entirety.
No, we're just speaking from personal experience.
But I will say, probably for the majority. I stand true when I say that we're all human. And on some level, we will always relate to that.
Yep.
We are all built basically the same. There's no way in fuck, and I will fight it, I'm going to die on this hill. There's no way in fuck that the people that want to be what they want to be all the time are going to make it out alive. Mentally.
Elaborate that a little bit. When people want to be what they want to be.
The people that we're talking about, the ones that have these breakdowns, there's just...
The people that hold everything.
There's just no way that you're this tough and you're this indestructible.
It's nobody's bulletproof.
And I'm not going to ever believe it. Because I believe, on a human level, again, I'll say it a million fucking times, that it's just your battle.
You're not a fucking robot.
No, you're not a fucking robot. We're all wired with things beyond our capabilities.
I took... And I do this every once in a while, and you've seen it. I think everybody's kind of designed to have a temporary switch.
Very much, yeah.
Where you can just kind of turn things off for a temporary amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where you can just go, man, I'm dealing with a lot right now. I need to just kind of turn this off for a minute and
It's
just
time to just shut down for a hot minute.
right and just take a second to, and a second could be a couple weeks, could be a couple days, could be a couple hours, but there's no determined amount of time. But it's always a temporary thing where you can just kind of shut it down and say, okay, I need to just coast for a minute,
You need to resurface.
resettle,
There you go.
and you need to resettle and just say, okay, I need to take, however much time I need to fix myself and just get myself level again, get myself in the level mindset, in the open mind, and just being able to go, okay.
And going back, I keep wanting to put it into words just to make sure that it's understood that I know that there's two sides to this. The other part of this that people don't want to deal with is how scary it is to not know how much time you're going to need or why you need the time.
Oh, it's terrifying.
That uncertainty, that's the word I'm looking for. There's a level of uncertainty that is going to be there. It's inevitable.
Right.
And I get it. I don't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with it. But that's a part of taking care of who you are.
It's also part of being accountable for yourself.
And we may all be built the same, but we all are different people.
Right.
You will handle it. It's just a matter of how you're going to handle it. Don't do it the wrong way. Don't band-aid the shit.
I want to kind of challenge what you just said a little bit. As far as each individual person is concerned, I don't think there's such thing as, well, no, okay. There's always going to be temporary fixes and kind of turning that switch off, but nobody is ever going to handle a situation the exact same way. Nobody's ever going to kind of, me and you are going to handle something similarly.
Yeah, but not the same.
But not the same. And don't ever, what I wanted to say was don't ever, if somebody's coming to you with a situation, with a problem, don't ever don't you dare ever judge them or tell them they're doing it the wrong way.
No.
Because they're not. They're doing it the best that they can. Because you don't know the rest of the circumstances that they're dealing with. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors, what's going on inside their head, what's going on.
And even on a deeper level, I really highly doubt that they actually understand how they're handling things.
A lot of times you don't.
You just don't know why you do things the way you do it.
Right.
But that's you.
Right.
And that's another part of that uncertainty. So, no, you don't get to judge.
No. I think it goes back to the toxic friend group. If you've got people who are sitting around you who you thought who are in your friend circle, who are sitting there telling you and judging you for how you handle a situation, bro, fuck them, get rid of them. That's how I see it.
Unless you're fixing to bury a body,
right?
You don't get to say no.
Nope.
This is what I'm trying to do. If you have input, I'm all for it. I have an open mind.
Constructive input.
Yeah. If you want to try and help, then by all means. But don't fucking tell me I'm wrong.
No, don't you dare tell me that I'm handling a situation the wrong way.
Right.
Unless, like you said, we're getting ready to get into some shit
right.
that other person's going to have to deal with too.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only time that anybody else gets to have any sort of judgmental input on what you're dealing with.
Right.
Is if they are going to be directly involved and it's going to possibly negatively impact their life. That is the only time.
I think that's pretty fucking important because 9 times out of 10, if somebody comes to you with this big of an issue or an instability or a lack of whatever, you don't get to judge. But on the same token, you are completely able to correctively bow out of the situation.
Yes.
If you feel like if this is really gonna hurt you to give me input, then by all means, respectively, take a leave.
Right.
And you don't have to be a part of it.
No.
And I'm good I can find somebody else to talk to. But don't fucking air my shit. Don't fucking disrespect me. Don't tell me I'm doing it wrong.
I can't tell you how many times that I've come to somebody, or let me rephrase that I've had somebody come to me and I've had to be like, yo, like I don't know how I would handle that situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the right person to come to talk to about this.
100%.
There's nothing as somebody who's had people come to them quite, I'm not going to say frequently, but it's happened a time or two in my life. People have come to me and said, hey, how would you handle this? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
know.
I don't really have any input for you right now, and I apologize.
Right.
Conversation's fucking over.
Right. And that's not a negative thing.
No, it's fine.
That God, fuck. there's such a pressure around having somebody come to you and say, hey, man, I need some help. I need your input on this. For you to be, I've got the answers for you, brother. I've got this. I know. Stop it. I know, what you're going through. I know what you're dealing with. I know how to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Brother, sometimes you just don't.
Yeah. You can offer tidbits.
Right. And there's you can offer your opinion. If they're going to lay the whole situation out to you, you can offer your opinion. But if you genuinely just don't feel like you can be of any help, just say it.
Right. Don't fucking be an asshole.
No. Don't try to lie to somebody. Don't try to puff your chest up and be like, yeah, man, I've handled it. This is how I did it this way. No, you didn't. Shut the fuck up.
I'd fucking beat their ass. Don't fucking blow me.
Right. Then, okay, here's their address. Here's their phone number. Go fucking beat their ass for me, because I'm not going to do that.
Right. It's not how I'm going to handle this.
No. Clearly, if I was going to handle it that way, you'd see me. I'd be calling you, be like, yeah, I need you to bail me out of jail. Hey, I need you to meet me at the bar. Bring some ice packs.
Right.
Bring me some Aleve.
It's a little different.
Right.
Bring me some Aleve.
My hands hurt. Like.
Yeah, I think that's super important to stress, because I'm gonna be a real fucking asshole, and I'm gonna go to this level. You have to think about the repercussions of what you're getting ready to tell somebody who's in need of a little bit of mental stability, because if you handle this the wrong way,
they're leaning on you. So
there's a fucking possibility
they're gonna
that you're the reason that they don't make it home tonight.
Yep.
Keep that in fucking mind, especially in this day and age, dude, where the next best option, I'm air quotes right now, folks, is on your fucking supercomputer that we all have on our hands.
Yeah.
It's so easy for people to be that person. And if somebody asks you just for a fucking minute of their time, all they're asking for is genuine conversation for a minute, don't turn that away. Don't. I don't give a shit how long you've known them. Just don't. Because, again, how are you going to feel? How are you going to feel if what you said determined the rest of their night?
Right. Well, and it's not if it determines the rest of their night. If they're coming to you, if they feel like they can lean on you that way with something of that degree, they are absolutely going to listen to every word that you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you have to be honest with not only them but yourself and say, hey, man, I don't have an answer for you. I appreciate the circumstance that you're in. I understand that you need some help. I'm not the person that can give you that sort of feedback right now. If you need something, if you need just to go out and just kind of get your head off of it, absolutely. Let's go sit down and have a beer. Let's go have a bite to eat. I
was just going to say, maybe even just a listening ear. I can do that.
Right. I can listen to you. You can vent all you want. You can yell. You can scream, whatever. Like,
I got you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just unfortunately don't have any input that I can put in to help you out of the situation. But if you need somebody to yell at, to whatever, if we need to fucking put some gloves on and go in the backyard and box for a little bit, so that way you can try to clear your head and you can feel better, dude, I've done that with some homies. Yeah. I've done that with my brother.
Sometimes you got to wrestle it out.
Sometimes that is the best circumstance for a situation like that, is they've got some pent up anger and aggression and bullshit that they've got to get out. And if this homie's coming to you and be like, hey man, I feel like I'm going to do something really dumb, like I need somebody, I need some help.
Yeah, I just need an out real quick.
Right. Cool. Awesome, man. Let's go. Give me 20 minutes. I'll be there.
It sounds,
or in my case, give me an hour, but I live really far.
We're on Zach time. No, yeah. I'm kidding. It's not that bad. It sounds, this is going to be a me versus me, but it sounds ridiculous for me to put into words. And I say that I feel that way because I've spent a lot of time in my past being quote unquote the sensitive one, or looking for a little bit of guidance. And we can get into why I've kind of learned what I've been looking for a long time, another time. But I've spent a lot of time asking of that from people, and being on the other side of somebody laughing in my face.
Yeah.
Or even worse, hearing it from somebody else that they told them.
Oh my God, that's the worst.
And it's just like I said, I feel stupid for saying this out loud, just so we're clear. Like right now, I feel fucking dumb because I sound like the biggest pussy, and I'm cool with that. But I'm gonna air this shit for me. But you can't be the gauge of how much it breaks somebody's heart when you laugh in their face. in a moment, just a moment. If I've had a fucked up day at work, I saw some bad shit today, I had to pick up fatals that I didn't want to see, and I just need a fucking minute. Don't make a joke out of it if I'm asking you for help.
I've got a story about that. But
Shouldn't be laughing, but that was
no. But it kind of goes hand in hand with exactly what you just said, man. Having somebody laugh in your face and kind of tell you that you're a pussy is, and not kind of. I mean, this is legitimate. That's literally what they said to me.
you're acting like a pussy.
Yeah, suck it up.
Yeah.
Quit being a puss.
Oh God, there we go.
I think the words that was exactly used was "suck it up, Buttercup." Quit being such a fucking pussy about it. Get back to work.
One of my favorites. Suck it up, Buttercup.
That broke me. Working for a company that the three of us have worked for, did a lot of accident PD calls.
Excuse me.
My first day out of training, I was in the training brief, or the safety brief for that day. God, could you make any more noise?
I'm going to because I have to pee. So we're gonna end it on safety brief for just a second.
Yep.
I gotta pee. All right, we're back from my unruly desire to pee.
God.
I'm sorry. It caught off guard. My I got a gerbil bladder, dude. Okay, everybody knows this. It's a trait. One beer, one pee. One beer, one pee. So you were getting ready to talk about safety brief, and something traumatic, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah.
Sweet.
Coming out of the safety brief, it's my first day in the truck on my own, ever. First day in a flatbed on my own ever. Okay, so I'd run service truck, which is tire changes and batteries and jump starts and all sorts of little baby bullshit. But here's my first day on a big boy job in a big boy truck. I'm 22? 21, 22? I don't remember how old I was.
Is this the red and white?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get a call. There's a wrecker. Our rotator's already on scene.
Well, that's not
It's
good.
been on scene since 4 a.m. Our safety brief was at 9, folks.
Shitballs.
There was a accident, tractor trailer versus car. Tractor trailer was getting ready to turn into a parking lot, was stopped on a roadway. Blinkers, all of his lights were on, making a right-hand turn into a parking lot. Car was, the occupants were drunk. They were doing about 75 miles an hour down a surface street. Did not even hit the brakes. Hit the back end of that semi-trailer square, and every inch of that car was underneath the trailer.
Was I? I wasn't working there at the time.
No.
This was after me.
This was after you.
Oh, it's just weird. I did one just like that.
Well, it happens a lot.
Fuck.
So I go in. I'm in the safety brief. Our GM walks in and goes, "Hey, where's the rookie?" I raise my hand.
Be you.
He goes, "Hey, I got a good one for you. We're gonna be able to tell if you're gonna be able to do this job or not after today."
Oh.
And I went, sick. 4 people involved were in the car. 4 fatalities. When I get there, the car hadn't even been pulled out from underneath the trailer yet.
They're waiting for all the equipment to get there.
Yep.
It's one of the hardest parts about what we have to deal with is the unfortunate amount of desensitization that people choose to acknowledge in our line of work. Well, it's now my line of work, not yours, but it's super unfortunate that it has to be a casual part of that.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, at one hand, yes, it's super unfortunate that we have to deal with that. On the other hand, it is kind of what we signed up for.
Sure, I can agree with you on that.
But what sucked for me the most was I got back to the yard, and I went to lean on the wrecker driver who was there, who was on scene with me.
Oh shit, I see where you're going.
And
Doesn't work.
he looked at me, and I went, "Yo, man, I mean, this is my first like real day out on, I've done rollovers and stuff like that, but never, I mean, that people were standing next to the truck when I'm going to do these rollovers and whatnot.
Right.
Never have I had to deal with the visuals of that. And
The absence of life is so hard to wrap your mind around.
seeing a human form,
But without it.
but without,
It is such a graphic thing to think about.
right. for people who have not seen it, they're
Yes.
not going to understand.
No. This is a field specific experience, and I'm not talking about our field, just fields in general.
Right.
Only certain fields are going to know this feeling.
Right. And I leaned on him a bit, and I was like, "Hey, man, like I'm struggling with that. Like I understand the premise, I understand the job, I understand, and I'm okay with it. This is what I signed up for.
Right.
But how do you kind of handle it? Like, how do you deal with it?" And he went, "Stop being such a fucking pussy."
Yep.
And
Well, I've heard that one fucking before.
and it struck me, and it changed my mindset. Not necessarily for the job, because I loved the job as a whole, but it changed how I kind of viewed the people in the industry. And it definitely, tow truck drivers definitely are looked at as like the scummiest people.
Yeah, that was something that took me a very long time to pass
Yeah.
because I don't like that image.
I hate that image, because we're people too. Like,
I want so badly to take part in that line of work.
it's hard to.
It is so fucking hard to, because nobody likes seeing you and nobody likes hearing from you.
No, not even when they're calling you for help.
100%. You were the last person they want to see
Yep.
anytime. So,
And it took a toll on my mental, like a big toll, and it still does. Having those images run through my head and having that mindset. I mean, I did that for years. Suck it up, pussy. That's kind of, God, I can't tell you how many times I've told my trainees that, because that's how I was trained. That was my mindset when I was doing it. And being able to look back at it now and go, that probably isn't the best way to handle that. If you've got somebody coming to you and going, "Hey, man, I'm struggling with this," you really need to kind of gut check you need to gut check yourself and put your personal feelings and your personal beliefs aside for a second and try to see from their eyes.
To reiterate what we were kind of talking about when somebody comes to you before, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to turn into what they want you to turn into.
No.
Just keep your asshole shit to yourself for like 2 seconds.
Right.
And be a little bit...
Have some compassion.
A little bit of consideration.
Yeah.
Will go a long way.
It will. Because if this dude... And I'm not bashing on him. That's how he dealt with things. That's, hey, you've been doing it for a long time. I get it. You know what I mean? There comes a point where you have to turn that shit off for yourself, doing in that line of work for such a long time. But you've got to be able to look at something at that situation and go, okay, this kid's green as green comes, right? Maybe what I'm about to say to him is going to change and kind of make the face or the mold for how he views it and how he does this job. And I feel like, did it make me a better tow truck driver? No. Did it make me a better person? No. Did it help me in any way? It helped me get through the shit that I was dealing with in the short term. In the long term, it fucked me up.
It's such a fucking weird place to be now that I'm sitting here listening and thinking to myself, just to kind of give a little bit more depth on what you just said. I would say that this particular line would be a little bit more damaging than a lot of lines mentally. And I'm going to elaborate that on by saying we get the middle of the story. We don't get the beginning. We don't get the end. Right. We get left with questions.
Right.
A shit ton of questions.
Yeah, we don't...
There's one line of work. There's several lines of work that get the beginning, and they get the story. They understand how and why. Then there's other lines of work that get the end result of what happened to them, if they made it, if they didn't. There's circumstances surrounding the shit that we get to see and we get to leave with.
Yep.
I just picked up a car, not literally, but I picked up a car from evidence that had been a suicide. You get to see the scene with zero resolution.
Zero contact.
Yes. And I don't think a lot of people understand exactly how that can consume a mind.
Oh, it's curiosity kills the cat.
100%.
I mean, because you at that point your imagination is going to wander.
Well, my day at that point now is just going to follow that story.
Yep.
And where it went.
Yep.
I don't have the ability to turn it off the way I should.
Mm-mm.
To second that, I don't know that I want to. Because I'm not trying.
I don't want to be a zombie.
I don't want to be a zombie. I believe that, and not only that, but it becomes a statistic, and I don't want to be a part of that. Most operators are statistically living in the life, unhappy, and probably not married.
Or multiple divorces.
Yes. And I refuse to be a part of that statistic.
I am that statistic.
I think we both are, actually. That's fucked up.
But
anyway, that's. I think I talked a little bit about, the traumatization of certain things in my intro and how they affect us.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I have learned over the last couple of years is I didn't realize that a lot of the things that happened in my life when I was a teenager are now coming to fruition. And now they're guiding my mind in ways that I can't control. That doesn't necessarily mean negatively. They're just taking me down my path, the way that things happened. And I say that because I want it to be acknowledged that the experiences that we have in work, in life, with your parents, growing up, your relationships, all this shit, it sits and it rots. But it trains you to go a certain direction. And you're not necessarily always going to see it until it's way too late.
Right.
So I think it's...
Well, the whole hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
I mean,
You have to look at the long shot here. What's this going to look like in years? You don't know. But I think if you acknowledge it now, you have a chance.
You've got to kind of weigh those options a little bit sometimes, and not sometimes, and pretty much every decision that you make, which is, I touched on it, I don't know if it was the last episode or the episode before that I was in, based off the motorcycle accident and kind of how I'm taking a second. I'm taking a breath before I make a decision.
Reflecting a little bit.
Maybe not reflecting a little bit, but just taking a pause before I just do it. You know what I mean? And that's helped a lot with shaping how my future is being viewed through my eyes. I can see that path that I want to go, that I want to be on. I can see that destination a hell of a lot clearer now that I'm taking a second before making. And even if it's the same decision that I was going to make just instinctually, but now I've taken a second and I've looked at it just a little bit longer, a little bit longer.
Well, maybe this time, you could have the same set of circumstances. You can make the same impulsive choices, but when you do get that phone call, guess what you're going to do? You're going to fucking think about the first time you got that phone call and maybe reconsider that one small ripple.
Right.
So, going back to what you were saying, I didn't mean to get off track, but
you're good.
When somebody does ask you for a little bit of a guidance at a fork in their life, maybe just try and push it in a little bit of a better direction.
I would say don't try to push it at all.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
So
if you don't navigate negatively, then it's better than anything else.
Exactly. And what you kind of hit what I was going to say on that, but just because you don't you might know the best way to handle that situation. You know the best way to handle that situation for yourself. You don't know the best way to handle that situation for the person asking you.
Nope.
So I always will kind of give my input but I always will lead with, this is how I did it. This is how I got through that.
You are not me.
Right.
So this might be different for you.
Exactly. And that goes for, all of our listeners too. We talk about a lot of situations that we've dealt with personally, and that's not and how we did them is not necessarily going to work out.
No.
If you follow our exact steps to a T, well, their circumstances are going to be different with you dealing with it than with us dealing with it.
Yep.
At face value, the situation may look identical. You may be able to, overlay them, and it's exactly the same. But what led us to get to that situation are going to be completely different scenarios.
And different people, it's different situation. Well, it's different circumstances.
Right.
And
situation might be the same. The circumstances are going to be different.
There you go. Yeah, that's correct.
Which means that then the scenario that you play out and how you handle that situation are going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
The circumstances surrounding the resulting situation are always going to be different, no matter who you are, no matter what you're dealing with. Even if it's you going through the same fucking shit again,
Mm-hmm.
if you wind up in the same situation, I can almost guarantee you made different choices to get there, though.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something to look at too. If you're making different choices and you're doing things differently this time, and you're still ending up in the same situation with different circumstances in your own personal life, maybe take a deeper look at what you're doing.
And that is something that's come into play very recently is, okay, the same shit keeps happening.
Right.
Over and over and again.
It's a rerunning cycle.
So now I have to make the painful choice of figuring out what it's going to take to change that.
And I'm going to talk about me again for a second here. Is dealing with some relationship stuff right now. I recently went through a real rough breakup surrounding the motorcycle accident. And I'm looking at it, and it's, okay, I've now done this twice. Not because of the accident,
Mm-hmm.
but because of circumstances that have led to a traumatic event, which then led to a failed relationship, right?
And we're back in the same boat.
Back in the exact same position again.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've got to look at myself, and I've got to go, okay, well, how do I break that cycle? What do I need to do
Exactly.
a little bit deeper than that to get off of this little cycle, whatever you want to call it.
You have to break the mold.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck right now. Well, let me phrase that. Not right now. I was stuck. I now know where I need to go, what I need to do, and how I need to do that. And that, folks, for a lot of guys out there, for a lot of men, going to somebody outside of our friend circle and asking for real help is always viewed as a soft move.
Right. It's almost always perceived as weak.
And that's not. I'm here to tell you that that is the exact opposite. It is the exact opposite. That is the strongest thing that you can do, to sit down and be able to look at yourself and go, I need actual help.
Well, you don't think it's gonna if you were to look at the outlying circumstances and the longevity of those actions, it's only gonna. The idea is that it's only gonna build you into a stronger, more successful man.
Right.
You're gonna be able to deal with those things, and you're gonna be able to correct them, and that's gonna do what?
Oh, that's going to better everybody
It's gonna
around
make
you.
shit better.
Right. And I want to, and I said it, but I'm going to say it again. It's going to better for everyone and everything around you. It is not just going to work for you, because again, you have an impact on everybody that you keep close to you. You have an impact on their life. You are meaningful in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are just this negative, leeching, just this nasty thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not getting any help for it, you're not helping anybody around you. You're not doing anybody any good.
Nope.
And this is the kind of fucked up way that I have to view it in order for me to be able to reach out and ask for help. Is I've been so negative for so long, and have finally started accepting the fact that I cannot do this on my own. And I've started asking for help, and I've started reaching out, and I've started going and talking to some actual licensed people
Mm-hmm.
that are this is what they do, and that was the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. Maybe not the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but it was up there. It's on that list for sure. It's on that list for sure. Really, it was a massive gut check for me, and this goes along the lines of kind of impressing yourself and not others. Is you've got to be able to look at yourself and go, what do I need to do to make myself better? What steps do I need to take to make myself better?
Yep.
And it also goes right along with on our board here is uncomfortable conversations and uncomfortable actions are going to build some strength.
They really are.
this was the most, I will tell you, this was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever had to do, is be able to sit down in a room with somebody and go, yeah, I'm fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These are my issues. This is what I've got going on. And you may already know, what your issues are. I deal with depression. I deal with anxiety. I deal with a couple of other things that were trauma-based from, growing up. That I didn't necessarily recognize as trauma-based shit. But the fact that I'm putting myself in a position to be uncomfortable, it breeds growth.
It does. You don't have a choice but to grow from it.
No. You
And
don't get to go backwards. There is no backwards.
You're
from
telling yourself, we're going to do this.
Yep.
We're going to put it out there. And the only thing it's going to do is it's going to weed through the shit.
Yep.
And it's going to weed through the people that want to be there.
Yep.
That's
You're not wading through the shit on your own anymore. You've got a fucking life raft, and you got somebody helping you out.
I think Jelly Roll said it the best. You got to make sure you clean the swamp.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think somebody told him that. And I don't know who said it, but
I don't know who said it either, but whoever you are,
you're right.
you're right. And that's a huge thing for men, for guys, especially for us in this industry, is sometimes, and I'm not just for men, it's for anybody
Mm-hmm.
who's going through some shit that they feel like they can't get out of that cycle. Go talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm. If there's somebody that has audibly reached out and ever told you, not ever, don't go back 20 years and try and find somebody that said it once. If there's somebody in your life that has mentioned,
That's actively looking.
that's a little heavy.
Yeah.
But if there's somebody close to you that has told you, if you want to talk, I'm here. Then maybe test the waters.
Yeah.
Maybe give it a shot and see what that's worth for you. And just give that a shot and see where it takes you.
Don't worry about being uncomfortable.
Because it might just lead you on a potentially successful road down a...
Honestly, rather scary path.
it's going to be a scary path, but I tell you what, you're going to be a lot happier at the end.
At the end of it, yeah. That
Yeah.
terrifying path. You're going to be able to see...
And to take it a step further, your family and the future you're trying to build is going to be a lot better off too.
oh, God, you might actually have one. Because right now, if I were to continue in the cycle that I would have, another 5 years, I'd have another broken, probably marriage. I'd have probably more kids running around that,
Mhm.
I don't get to see every day. Just perpetuating that cycle of...
All over again.
Yep, of not asking for help and just I got it, whatever. I'll just make do. I'll just do the best that I can for right now, and that's great for right now. But you've got to be able to look at the situation as a whole and go, man, you know what? I can't do this on my own right now. Like I need somebody to actually lean on,
Mm-hmm.
and it's great if you've got a group of friends that are willing to help you out through that. Absolutely, it's great. But sometimes you've got to be able to know when that's just not enough.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be able to know when you need to go see, to put it this way, you've got to be able to know when you've got to go see a professional.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak from any personal experience here, but from what I understand, that is a
That's what I'm doing.
that's a very good route to go when you can find somebody.
For people who don't know. That's well, nobody knows, but that's something I've sworn I would never do. I swore up and down since I was a kid. I don't need to fucking sit and talk to a fucking therapist about anything. I'm fine.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
got my shit on lock.
Yeah, we're told to be strong. We don't have to talk.
There's a scene in a movie, Kevin Costner and Ashton Kutcher in The Guardian. I don't know if you've seen it.
I don't think so.
You should.
Okay.
Honestly, I know it's Kevin Costner and Ashton Kutcher. They're fucking cheesy sleazeballs, but it is honestly a really good movie. There's a scene in that movie. Ashton Kutcher's character gets in a fight at a bar with one of the Coast Guard guys. It's a Coast Guard movie. Gets in a fight in a bar with one of the Coast guys he's with in the Coast Guard, and gets back to the barracks, and because they're in A school, it's their swim school, whatever. And Kevin Costner looks at him and starts asking him questions about some things in his past, and Ashton Kutcher loses his absolute shit. Telling him while he's losing his shit, looking at Kevin Costner in the face, telling him, "I have me under control." While he's throwing shit around this room, he's fucking crying. He's breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
He's losing it.
Mm-hmm.
As somebody who's had that conversation with somebody in very similar circumstances, I'm losing my absolute shit. I'm fucking flipping tables. I'm throwing chairs. I'm losing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm telling this person, I've got me under control. I'm fine. I got this. That's when I realized I'm not okay.
Right.
I don't have this.
There's something wrong.
There's something very wrong, and I need somebody else to be able to look at me and try to guide me out of this fucking hole that I was in.
Mm-hmm.
And for people who look at the stigma for men, I'm talking about men here because I can't speak for women and how they view this, but for men who view the stigma as talking to somebody and going to see somebody and getting help on that level as a weakness, as a sign of whatever, you're wrong.
I would agree with that.
Because in my belief, in my experience, because I was that guy for a long time. In my experience, that is the strongest thing you can do, because you're not doing it for yourself at that point.
Right.
You're doing it for the people around you. And that that level of uncomfort is going to do nothing but build strength. That's going to do nothing but lay a foundation for you to build off of. And I think that's a super important thing that everybody has to be able to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to accountability, being able to hold yourself accountable for those actions and say, hey, this wasn't okay. I need help to fix this, to make this better so that I can move on.
To take it even a step farther too, holding yourself accountable as a little bit of a deeper idea. This may not go down the right idea, but holding your mentality accountable for what has happened to you in your past. Okay, that's not. How do you say? Just realizing that the things that have happened to you are the worst things that have happened to you, and they are gonna take their course. So holding yourself accountable enough to try and help with the reparations.
Repercussions?
No.
Okay.
Repairing.
Okay.
Trying to fix those while you can.
Okay, I got you.
It's kind of I'm kind of playing Inception with myself here, so I apologize.
I think the only reason I follow you is because I know you so well, but
yeah, it's not coming out straight, and I apologize.
I'm not going to be able to put that into words either.
Let me soak on that one, and maybe we'll come back to that.
Well, yeah, let's touch on that. Maybe soak on that for a bit, and let's try to touch on that next time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, we talked while we were on break a little bit to move on from that. About we've got a list on our whiteboard in here. I don't know if
which is a new formula. It hasn't been spoken about.
No, this is. Oh, sorry.
No. I was going to touch on it. I just forgot. If it sounds like we're kind of bouncing back and forth, it's because we're trying to touch on certain things, and we realized. I think what you were going to say was that just about everything that we have on this fucking list.
Do you mind if I read the list off?
No, go for it.
Okay. Getting discouraged and making time, connections, things that make you happy, positive thoughts about yourself, impressing yourself, not others, caring for yourself, and
self-care, mental.
Being honest and not offensive to yourself. Uncomfortability builds strength, and toxic friendships. Every single one of those topics that we've got up here on our board, and this isn't just stuff that we talk about today, but this is stuff that we can talk about down the line, and always come back to. Every single one of those things comes back to accountability.
It's fucked up, but hearing it out loud and watching that come full circle, even in just this one episode, was pretty crazy. Because I think I would say most of those, if not all of them, is all fucking you versus you, dude.
Yeah, it's everything on that list is holding yourself accountable in the fight of me versus me.
I do believe that is a majority of the idea behind you're going to be the one to fix yourself, and you're going to be the one that battles with yourself.
Right.
And it's super crazy because this board was not I was not supposed to be one episode.
No, it wasn't, but we touched on most of it.
Yeah, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I love talking about stuff and watching it come full circle. It brings me such light.
Yeah,
Like that was. It's just
wild.
It's super crazy because there's a core to all. There's fucking 50 words up there, and there's a core. There's one thing, one thing that comes back to, and it's
accountability.
And it's just you, and it's like, it just goes to show, and I'm gonna end it on this, but it goes to really show you how full circle all of your mentality, your mental health, your life, how much control you really hold.
Yeah.
All you have to do is take a second and use your noodle.
Use your head.
Yeah, well, that too. Wrong noodle.
Yeah.
That one gets you in trouble, kids.
Yeah. Using your noodle ends up with other noodles running around, and
Oh man. So I'm super. I have a bunch of emotions about what just happened, and I'm thankful.
I can see that you're a little bit conflicted about something too. Like
I am, and I don't know why.
Air it out. Like why do you feel like you've got some conflict going on about that? Like, is it something that you feel like we should spend less time on? Is it something that you feel like?
Well, I don't necessarily think you can. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that we've solved the problem and we've found the core and none of that bullshit, because that's not what I'm sitting here and saying. But I'm like, that's not it. That's not. No, I don't think I'm conflicted. I think I'm curious.
Okay.
Now I'm real in-depthly curious as to where else this can go.
Okay.
And I'm excited.
It was cool to see that kind of just take shape right there. You went from kind of conflicted about it to that makes a little bit more sense.
I don't think it's conflicted. I think it's nervous.
Why?
Well, because I'm excited.
Okay.
This whole thing, doing this every week, makes me nervous, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't like airing this shit most of the time. I'm doing it because I'm uncomfortable. You see?
Mm-hmm.
You see how this can keep going, dude? Like, this carousel does not stop for me. So I'm thankful, and I'm thankful for you for airing all this shit and helping me connect the dots when you could, because sometimes I got a little rocky there.
Well, you've done it for me too. I mean, there's been some things that I've tried to talk about and tried to bring into light where you're like, hold on, it needs to be.
I love your edgy, by the way. I was going to tell you that. You dabble on some touchy shit without going touchy.
Yeah.
We're getting close to...
I ride that line.
You're like, I'm going to get in trouble. No, I'm not. Denied. And I'm like, oh, God. Oh, how do you let it go? Oh, shit. It's my favorite.
Well, I think that has to, having that openness and being willing to take it to that level and willing to take it to that point. That way, because if you don't take it to that point, right. And I feel like we'd be doing a disservice to our listeners at that point.
Oh, 100%.
Because if we're not being as open and honest as possible, and there's things that we're just not going to dive into that far, you know what I mean?
Right. It's just not going to happen.
I'm not going to dive in, and I'm not going to personally attack people because it's not worth the time and effort to try to fix then those fires that we've started.
Also, this is the wrong approach.
Right.
And that's not what we're going for at all.
No.
And I hope that interpretation never comes across that way, because we are never looking to start a fire.
No, and we're never here bashing anybody either. Like, that's not
intentionally. These are experiences we're speaking from.
Right.
Not people.
Right. We're not talking about specific people. We're not talking about, we're talking about specific situations that specific people have been in.
There you go. But not the people themselves.
But not the people themselves. We're talking about the situations. And I need to make that clear because I'll be honest with you. Last week, after the last episode aired that we did, I had a couple of people hit me up personally and were like, hey, what the fuck are you talking about here?
Well, you got some backlash?
I got a little bit. A little bit.
It was to be expected to a certain degree.
It was because, I'm not one to ever, and you've known this for a long time, I'm not one to shy away from a confrontation.
Nope.
Let's go. We talked a bit about it before we started today. I'm very much so the guy who's, you got a problem? We know where the parking lot is. If we need to handle it, we can go handle it. You know what I mean? That's just me. And I'm trying to view this similarly, while at the same time being as respectful to the people who were also involved in that situation as possible.
I would feel inadequate if I didn't also give the people that are involved in these circumstances a little bit of light. They have their own battles.
Right.
They have their own situations.
Right.
Everybody does. I would not be who I am today without these experiences.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
So I would like to cordially just maybe not think, but acknowledge the fact that if they weren't a part of my life, then I would not be sitting here talking to you.
Mm-mm.
I would not have the thought process that I do, the open-mindedness, everything that goes with it. So none of this goes, unspoken, and none of this is going to be taken for granted.
No, and
It's all important in its own right.
well, I said it earlier. To elaborate on what you're saying, every decision and every decision that we make has a chain reaction, has an effect.
It does.
Every single contact, every piece of communication, everything that we do is going to have it's going to add a piece of chain to the link there that's kind of developing as we go through life.
As long as you let it.
I don't agree with that.
No. I'm not talking about the chains building themselves.
Okay.
I'm talking about letting it lead you through life. You have to be willing to let these experiences lead you through life.
Gotcha.
Sorry. There's another twist in the gear.
No, yep. It needed one more rotation, and there it was.
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree with that. You have to be able to, and that goes along with open-mindedness and accountability. You have to be able to.
Back to it.
Yeah,
Motherfucker.
God damn. Let me just rename the show. No.
Accountability.
No. But I mean that's right. You've got to be able to look at the choices that you've made and kind of walk the path that you've made for yourself.
Yep. You get to learn from them.
Yep. Whether that path is twisty, turny, rocky, fucking you're going through a swamp, you're fucking whatever, or you're on this concrete sidewalk, well lit, whatever. Mm-hmm. Whatever your path is, walk that motherfucker. Own that shit.
Own it and learn from it.
Yep.
Okay. Now we're actually going to end it.
Yeah, that's a good place to end right
Because that was a good fucking place to
Yeah.
end. So,
own your shit, people.
own your shit and love it. Love you. We do.
We do. Most of you.
Some of you are shitheads. No.
We love you anyway.
Yeah, we're, as always, check it out on Instagram. That's Me vs. Me Pod. Facebook, Me vs. Me Podcast. I think I'm going to be making some changes. I don't know any of my listeners have checked into my TikTok. It's still under my personal name and my personal old broadcasting name.
I can tell you right now, I've had people send me your.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let that reach a little bit farther, and I'm gonna transfer my TikTok over to a primary account for this, and see where it takes us. There might be some Twitter action happening soon. I want to get it on everybody. I want to get everywhere, everybody, and I want to reach as far as I can reach. And
We talked last time. I'm gonna name drop a little bit here because I want his attention. We name dropped last week.
Yeah, we did.
Mr. Joe Rogan, if you're listening.
oh, Joe. Yeah, dude. It would be.
We're both huge fans of yours.
It would be a pleasure. You are influential as you are to millions of listeners.
Yeah. I would love to have. This is a dream of mine for your podcast, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. I would love to have his input, whether it's an email, whether it's whatever. I would love to have some input. So if somebody knows Joe Rogan wants to tag him in some shit,
We're probably not big enough, but I one day,
hey,
one day maybe he can pick my brain.
ooh,
Yeah. Maybe that's where my story. We're dreaming big now. Anyway, check it out. And again, if you are so kind as to maybe drop some donations, it's a lot to ask, and I apologize, but I want to see this thing grow, and I want you guys to grow with it. So
we want to take you with us.
let's go. It's going to be a long journey because I am far from done. Zach, I love you.
Love you.
Listeners, I love you.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Leftovers or the DMV
Number 97.
or house cleaning or Chumba Casino always brings the fun. Play over 100 different games online for free from anywhere. You could redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. Live the Chumba life. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.